Hello, this is Arcades, and welcome to my next episode of my QuickStart Guide Foundry videos. So, what we're going to do for today's episode is we're going to be working on automating Rails and attempt to also automate these advanced machinery parts, because we're going to need these for the pack for Research Pack 3. And that's going to be a few steps to do that, so we're going to go ahead and get this automated, because we're also going to need this for another part in there, so let's just get this out of the way if possible. But the main thing we're going to do is automating these rails and trying to get them down. That is actually something I have not done in any of my builds, so this will be a first for me as well, so this should be fun. Alright, let's get to this and see you on the other side. And here we are, back in the playthrough world. Alright, so, big thing we're going to need is, we've got our steel production down here. We've got the container collecting the steel, and if we're going to automate the rails, which isn't going to take much, to be honest, it's mostly setup. And the same thing for the advanced machinery parts, which just requires machinery parts plus steel. And this the rails just require steel plus ferrite plates, which we have down there, because that's what I was using before to automate them while I was setting up the miners initially. But we're going to make a more proper setup with this. Now, however, the big thing I want to do is I need to clean up this area. I need to clean up the area and make it more suitable for building. And I want to get this to flow better, because these drone miners, you see they all say inventory full and the belt's full. So the problem with this is that when this thing goes to take off and start building stuff, because I'm going to be grabbing stuff and like building blocks, and we're going to extend, is that when this trails back, these on the back end are going to empty first, and then it slowly gets around, and these others are going to stay full. So it's not really going to empty out the back of these too easily. And it kind of will slow down the line, especially at the beginning. Even though everything will be flowing at 320, it'll be having to wait for this. But I want these all operate at once. So I'm going to rebuild these things so that they can get empty all of them at the same time. I'm going to do the same thing for over there. I'll probably do this one first. Then we'll get over there after I do some building, because I gotta let this process so that some of this move. You'll see. But so I'm gonna rebuild this area. I'm gonna start, but the first thing I'm gonna do is I need to expand this area a bit, and we're gonna make this a more habitable area. Prepare for the building, because that's the building we gotta hook up to. And we gotta give it a place to work at for this processing. The thing is we still got this right here. It's in the way of this, but one thing for sure is that we're gonna need some techum for this next area, so this should get hit hard as we're making this stuff, hopefully. So let me throw down what I want to do real quick, and I will be back with you. And we got it. So we got this new plate in. And I need to I keep meaning to fill this area in the back. Actually, I have filled it in multiple times, but every time I go to make the videos, I end up losing it. I also added a little bit of preparatory work back here. I'm waiting for blocks to get rebuilt. And so in the meantime, well, that's going to happen, because I plan to extend this all the way back to here, and then we're going to bring up the techum elevator up a bit, and then we'll have that line come over to where it can come across and meet up with the techum inputs. And as you can see, I also put in some lights here to light up this area. This area is going to need some lighting. And as you can see, I got a few in, and we will get to that a little bit more. But right now, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to end up rebuilding I'm going to remanage this right here. I'm going to get them to, I'm going to tear down all these belts and the loaders, and I'm going to reassign them and hook them into a container so it'll balance their inputs better, and then they'll feed into this line right here. And yeah, so give me a moment, and we'll do 3, 2, 1, boom. So as you can see, I got all the things routed. As much as it looks like almost the same. So those miners there, they are, those 3 right there are going into those 4 lanes into that side. I do have this one splitting between these 2 lines. I couldn't keep the donut and not have it because I didn't have the room to give them each their own individual line to the container. But going down to 2 per line should be fine right there. 2.5 technically. So it'll split out, they come in here, and then right now that one's still set up, and this is prioritized like it was before, so that it will take the drone miners first, and then it'll take this line. So our next objective in this build is we're going to go ahead and I want to expand this section, and I want to do the same thing here to the Tecum on the other side. Just get a little bit more creative, have a little fun with it, and I will be back with you again. I know, quick jumps, but you'll see, it'll look good. Okay, so we have an extended platform here now that goes all the way to the back. I also added something to this that it's going to help me walk through the area as I need to. As you can see, I moved the elevator up, and I added a stairway with the walkways. And it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't too hard to build. I had to remove a few blocks so I can fit it in there. But this is where the Tecum is going to be going through. And the other things with the rail miner rails. Now, as far as the Tecum rebuild, give a quick show on that because I thought that actually came out pretty decently. Is we have each of those lanes come around and into here. We got the output going to here. This should be the input from there when that happens, and again it's prioritized on this side at the moment. Oh, as you can see, I just put it there. Yeah, and the idea is that this will come through here, it'll hop over this lane, and it'll come in and attach right here and just run into the system right there. So now something I'm going to show is I want to build another walkway stair because the entire time I've just been pretty much using this as my walkway up here, and I think I'm a little, we're beyond that now. We're past that. We're better than that now. So I'm going to extend this down, and I'm going to create a stairway down to here, and because, like I said, I'm tired of just using this ramp. Let's make an actual stair. Now, the thing is I prefer a bit of speed, so as much as I would like to do the wraparound as I did over there, that one's kind of more for looks than it is for functionality. It is for functionality. This one's probably going to be a straight line, so I can just go shoot straight through. And I'm probably going to face it this way. I still have these containers from the previous build that I need to empty and get out of the way. But, yeah. So, hopefully this will be interesting. Okay, that was a lot quicker than I was expecting, because I was expecting to do the turnaround. So, but, yeah. So we now have our little walkway platform here. This will make coming up and down here a lot faster and easier. So I'm not having to use the belt to actually climb. And as you saw, this just barely cleared this in the first place. So you know what? I'm all good for that. Okay, so we're going to automate the rails, and we're going to need an assembler for this. I grabbed, went and made a marked number 2. And under configuration, it'll be right down here, the rail miners. As you can see, it makes 15 a minute. We need 150 plates a minute, 120 steel a minute. We definitely should have that steel. However, you gotta remember, this isn't necessarily like, they're not gonna be using this at full speed. I don't even think we'll be using that much. For my build here, in this world, I don't think we'll be even using that many rails a minute. So this is kind of more of an access thing. I'm gonna be making 2 of these, because I think I can maybe make 2 of these. Either way, because we're going to take this, we're going to get it automated, and we're going to feed a line of those rails back this way, and one is going to go into this elevator, and one is going to go into a port on that elevator up there. And then we're going to send them downstairs, and we'll hook them up. So, let me get to that, and I will get back with you. Alrighty, so this is the basic setup I'm going to work with. I might clean this up a bit later, but so what it is I got the rails coming out. They will come down this line. They'll come up to here where they had to hop over here. I decided to go ahead and put a balancer here, and it'll just split them between the lower, which will go to the ferrite, and the upper, which goes to the tacum. And let's go ahead and let it just do that. Alright, and I'm going to see you down at the ferrite area. Okay, so I'm down here at the ferrite area, and as you can see, it's a bit of a tight fit. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take... So this is the elevator for the ferrite. We're going to take one of these outputs, or one of these things. We're going to put a output loader here. And we're going to snake a belt through this area, reconfigure some of this so that I can reconfigure a bit of this, and then we're going to attach a input to each of these miners and yeah, feed those rails into here. So let's see what I can get done. Okay, so I've got the belt output lid, as you can see. So what I ended up doing is I ended up having to condense 2 of these loaders onto one line, which should be fine. It won't be a huge deal. Because, I mean, these are 160, that's one belt, it'll be fine. Sure, this one might get backed up. It's not how I actually want to do this, but it is how it's going to be. So, because it was more important I get this fed through. And it's just one loader, the rest are off to the side. So, what I ended up doing is I replaced all the single lane loaders with second lane loaders and fed the belt for these rails down through the gap that's created by this and put those on single lane loaders all the way down to here. And then now all we got to do, whoops, almost fell down the hole, is just come over here, flip this switch. Oh, no, come on. And you'll see, now the good thing is the loaders won't take those because that's not what the rail miners want. So I can just pick up that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had a little incident while building it. So now what will happen with the rails now is that, because as you can see, this thing still has 18 when I manually fed them, and I just threw those extra 2 in there. What's going to happen is these whittle down, they hit 0, whatever, they will actually, just like everything else, store at 3 times the recipe, and since they only demand 1 at a time, it's only going to hold 3 in there. It can max at 20 if you add manually, but 3 individually. Because here, if I can go show you, I go grab those. Whoop, see? Grab the 3. And then I can just manually add the rest. So, this is now automated. They have their rails. I'm going to do the same thing for the Techem downstairs. So, I'll take care of that. Elsewhere, as you can see, I'm just showing you with the ferrite. Just know that the Techem and the Ignum is done equally. Now, as far as the Ignum, however, this is kind of going to be a playthrough thing, but I'll figure I'll show you. Now, here's what I'm going to do with the Ignum. Oh, this one's going to be... Oh, this is going to be... Ugh. No, I can do this. I can do this. Give me a minute and I'll show you what I'm going to do. And here we go. The rail distribution network is working its magic. It's not completely finished, but the idea is that I'm going to bring this line through here. I'm going to move this, actually, to right there. And we're going to get rid of this, get rid of that belt, and then we're going to actually change this one to an input. Actually, I don't think I need to get rid of that belt. And then we're going to connect that to there. And now that's sending rails upstairs. Okay, so what's happening is I went and got those things coming up this elevator. So what's going to happen is I'm going to also have ones from the Techman come up here as well. They're going to feed out of here, and I'm going to use them to feed these rail liners as necessary, which means I've got to go through a bit of adjustment with all this. So I'm going to try to do the same thing with this. I'm going to feed them through, and we'll see how this goes. We also have this thing here I want to get filled up, and the whole idea is we're just distributing these rails. And yes, we just have one machine doing 15 a minute. That will change in the future, but right now we're just wanting to get the network set up so it can distribute the rails. And yeah, so give me a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the network set up. I've already got them distributing. They're coming out of there, and I got them to split through here. I ended up again doing the same thing with second lane loaders here and stringing a belt through the gap, and they're all getting picked up. So now that should be all taken care of. And you can see there's 12 there because I added earlier. You got 3 here, 3 here, and so on and so forth. So, and eventually what'll happen is I'll have this coming up too, and I'll feed it through here, and we will have all that we need. So, that's the rails. Now, and our system is now automated, be-fed rail, so it should last forever. This thing, wow, it's progressed some. I gotta come down here and readjust this later, which means I'll have to readjust all of that. But, now, let's see if we can get some automated advanced machinery parts. Okay, as you can see, we're back upstairs. Now, for advanced machinery parts. Okay, this is under your components list. Right here we have advanced machinery parts. You see it takes 1 beam to 2 machinery parts at every 0.8 seconds. So we need the steel and the machinery parts. Well, we're already technically making machinery parts as a part of our setup up here. Alright. Now, we're not looking, because this line that we're going to make is going to end up going into here, and we're going to use it also as kind of a mall type scenario where we will grab from to use for, kind of like this right here, because we're producing blocks and belts right here. Now, I do have, like, for the belts, those are going downstairs here as necessary. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to do something similar here. We're going to bring the steel and the machinery parts over to this area, and then we will craft it here so that it can be set up and ready to go for making the tier 3 research parts. But as you can see, we have a slight issue with something in the way. And you know what? We'll have to build around it for the time being. So, let me get into thinking about how to string stuff around, and be right back. Okay, so I have it belted now, and up to one single machine at the moment. This is spaghetti. So the cool thing is I had to end up upgrading a few of the machines. I had to upgrade these. So now to the tier 2, so this makes, was it 30 a minute now? No, 60 a minute. So that's 240, that's 180 of these a minute. I also had to upgrade this to keep up with the belts, but that increased its demand. So we have 180 a minute being made available. So this is 60 right here. On the demand there. So that's 60. And then we have 20 and 20, so that's 40 a minute. Right there. So that's 100 a minute. And then we come over here, finally, and we come to the advanced machinery parts. And that's 60. So we're at 160 a minute. So we have 20 to spare. 20 a minute to spare to make whatever we need to off our current setup. Now I can actually throw another one of these on here to make more machinery parts, but we don't need to at the moment. So I'm leaving that in a minute because we are making 320 plates a minute, and we're only using 180 here for this. Now this says, and then 100, then another 60 plus this, so that's 240. Now this says 72, but here's the catch. That is only feeding these, and these only require 20 a minute. So that's only 40 a minute of the requirement here. So we take that 72, divide it by the 72 a minute, or actually no, what we need to do is we take the 60 a minute, divide it by the 40, or divide the 40 a minute by the 60 a minute, and that gives us like 0.6666 repeating. So then you take that and times the 72 by that amount, and you only get 48 a minute. So we're only using 48 a minute here. So if I add it all up correctly earlier, it comes out to 288 plates a minute we're using. So we're still within the capacity of our system downstairs, and everything's running, and we're still managing with inside the 320 a minute plating, and we're maximizing what we got right now. Now the reason why I'm not going so heavy on this is because right now when we get researching tier 3, these packs are going to be the most used. I kind of need to upgrade that. So there we go. Now that's upgraded. And so this will be, yeah, these will be using the most packs. I should probably upgrade that container to a bigger container. Remove these, change that to a tier 2 container. Yeah. So that way we have a bigger stock to work with when it comes time. Same thing here. Now, if all these were to start activating at once, I don't think I could keep up near as easily. But right now, as it stands, these should be within the limits of 320 a minute on the plates and that. Now, steel-wise, now this does say it takes 30 a minute. We are currently making like 153 a minute for steel. Now, the thing is that I'm not worried about too much about the steel production, even with this, because this in the end up, it says 15 a minute. We're probably using not even close to that for the thing. And even then I can expand it, and come later down the road, we'll end up expanding this as well, because we'll get the tier 3 belts, which have an increased capacity, hold more, and then we can just add more machines on there. So I am kind of planning ahead for the increased belt volume capacity, so because I know that's coming up ahead. So for the time being, we have our stuff automated. We do technically have this automated right now. It is not being fed because we have these here. So I'm going to just go ahead and turn those on. I have these strung up so that I can add more down the line. I'll have to shift it over, but I'll do that once we get running through this, because the next two parts is we're going to Science Pack 3, and that requires electronic components and Ignum fuel rods. Now, the electronic components we're already currently making. We already have that automated, so we can grab from that. But the Ignum fuel rods, which is under a component, you should have unlocked. It says we need fuel rod casings, which is this right here, which requires the advanced machinery parts, which we just automated. We have automating. And then we need the enriched Ignum pellets. That takes Techum rods, which we'll start a demand on that. The Techum rods and Ignum powder, and then we need Ignum powder, which takes Ignum ore. So we're going to have a bit of a demand on that as well. So we'll be making that, we'll be making these close together to each other. Is we'll bring some of that up here, and then we got to process this all together to create one of these on top of, to make the fuel rod. Individually, these are not hard. It's just getting everything recipe'd out will be the thing to do. So, anyways, alright. Uh-oh. It looks like it's getting time. Nope, it's not as bad as I thought. As you saw, it's saying strain. Basically, we've gone past the 20 megawatt capacity of our transformers. So all I need to do is just add another transformer. And that is as simple as click. Click. Oh, it hasn't finished building it. Put that down. And we're going to disconnect that, put that there, connect. And we'll put that in there, connect that, and to that. There we go. Now we should be good all power-wise. $21 megawatts. And our system still is all good. They're all burning in the background. So I'm Arcades. I stream every other weekend on Sundays and Monday nights. On Twitch.tv is Arcades Test. Hope you can join me for that. I do engineering games in general. Not Foundry at the moment, but I do other ones, and yeah, so look forward to working our way to Research Pack 3. This is Arcades. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed your watch. Like, subscribe, all that fun junk, and have yourself a good day.